Okay, before we dive in, I have to tell you what I have brewing for October. How much time have you wasted staring at a blank screen, trying to write a sales email, or figure out why your funnel isn't converting? I bet way too much. That is why I created the Spellbook All Access Pass. From October 8th through the 28th, I'm dropping 21 brand new custom GPTs, one a day. These aren't random AI prompts, they're strategy-driven assistants built on my proven frameworks designed to collapse hours of work into minutes. Want to whip up an entire flash sale campaign in minutes? Fix a funnel that's flatlining? Repurpose testimonials into copy that sells? There's a GPT for that inside of the Spellbook. Here's the kicker. Each GPT is $9 for 24 hours only. Then they jump up to $29. But with the Spellbook All Access Pass, you'll lock in all 21 upfront at the $9 price. That is 69% off. The Spellbook goes up in price on October 8th, so don't wait. You can grab your pass now at empoweredbusiness.co/potion. Welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast, where strategy meets action. I'm Monica Froese, and I'm here to help you create, sell, and scale digital products the smart way, using AI and proven strategies to build a sustainable, profitable business. If you're ready to turn your expertise into digital products that sell and eventually grow into a thriving digital shop, you're in the right place. Each week, I break down real-world tactics, unfiltered insights, and bold business moves. Because building a digital product business should be sustainable, scalable, and designed for long-term success. Let's ditch the fluff, leverage AI to work smarter, and turn your expertise into a thriving digital empire on your terms. Let's get started. AI is everywhere right now, but here's the truth. It doesn't matter how powerful the tools are if you don't know how to use them in a way that feels true to you. That's why I'm so excited about today's guest, Kinsey, the voice behind the brand and podcast Authentic AI. She helps down-to-earth entrepreneurs leverage AI in a way that saves time, boosts efficiency, and still keeps your unique brand front and center. Her whole philosophy: AI should work for you, not the other way around. She's proof that you can streamline your business without losing the human touch, and that embracing these tools isn't about cutting corners, it's about creating more space to enjoy your life. She's also the creator of AI Reels Club and AI Brand Blueprint, programs that show entrepreneurs how to get more done with AI without sacrificing quality or authenticity. This conversation is packed with insights about how women in particular can step into this AI-driven era with confidence, creativity, and control. Let's dive in. Kinsey, welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast. I am super excited to talk to you today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So before we dive into the topic of today, which is, of course, AI, no one's going to be shocked about that. I always like to ask everyone to tell us about their entrepreneurial journey and what got them into it and what you're doing today.
Yeah. Oh, I love that question too, because I feel like it gives such insight into who this person is and then also how we've evolved over time and what we bring to the table now and stuff. But for sure. Okay. So let's think. My entrepreneurial journey, it started like 6 years ago now, actually. I had originally gone to college for like communications. And as I was going through school, I decided to apply for a job at our student newspaper, the Purdue Exponent. And I kind of like worked my way up to being opinions editor at the newspaper. And I felt like I was doing all the things right and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like the weight of all the work, and then especially in communications and media where it's like daily, lots of things happening all the time. It was a daily student newspaper too. I'm like, why do you do that to them? But long story short, I actually ended up burning myself out on communications before I even graduated, kind of thing. And I found myself in my junior year of college being like, just exhausted, like failing out of my classes, feeling like I wasn't doing a great job at the newspaper either, just like trying to find time to spend time with my friends at the same time and also as an escape from like all the stress I was feeling. And I actually ended up failing out of the degree. You have to like make those classes that will get you into the degree and stuff. And I had to meet with my counselor, and she was like, "Oh, maybe you could do English." And I love me, my English majors out there, but I kind of looked at her and I was like, nah, like that's not what I wanted. And also, like, it just wasn't clicking for me with that. And then, actually, around the same time, I ended up going through two deaths in my family with my grandfathers. And it was kind of one of those shaken awake moments where I realized, whoa, what is life if you're not pursuing joy? Like I had that realization where I'm really, really not happy where I am right now. Instead, how about I just go chase where I will feel happy or what I actually want to do, right? So I quit school. My mom was like, "What the hell are you doing, Kins? Can't you just stay in school for another year and graduate with some sort of degree?" And I was like, "Mom, I can't." And so I quit school. The first house I found on Craigslist in Breckenridge, Colorado. I moved out here in like within 2 months or something. And I honestly felt like, wow, I finally feel like I belong. I found my happy place. I healed some health issues that have been ongoing for years. Like, I just felt so at home. And so that kind of was what initially instigated me to just do what I want to do in my life, and obviously I put thought into it and stuff, but like you can also do the crazy things. If you know that's the right path for you, just go for it and like chase that joy, live your life, because that's like, what the hell are we doing on this earth if we're not doing that? You know what I mean? So I guess I started there because that kind of plays into how I ended up starting my business in a way, and also like the values that I hold in my business now too. So when I came to entrepreneurship, actually, I spent like a few years out in Breck doing the thing. I met my now husband, and we kind of looked at each other one day and we're like, what if we just quit our jobs and traveled Asia for 6 months, And I was like, oh, sure, let's do it, And so we quit our jobs, we traveled Asia, we came back. And when we were traveling through Asia, I kind of started dabbling in social media marketing and whatnot, right? And I was like, I'm going to start a travel blog. We're going to become rock climbing influencers. We're going to get paid to travel, like that sort of thing, that dream back in 2017. A month into the trip, I was like, oh, hell no. This is taken away from my travels. This is distracting. I kind of quit the vlogging and stuff at that point. But when we did come back to the States after all that travel, I was, of course, telling people about the trip and how fun it was and how I shared photos and did the blog. And the business owner who I was working for at that time looked at me and goes, "Oh, you know how to do social media marketing? Oh, you know how to do blogging? You should do that for us." Right. And so that is actually how I got my first client. And like kind of slowly through word of mouth started gaining more and more clients. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, I guess I better make this business thing legit. So that's actually how I just started my business.
You were a service provider then, essentially, when you got started.
Yeah. I did that whole thing where I was like splatting spaghetti on the wall a lot, like trying to figure out what was going to stick, what's going to work for me. I wanted to do branding. I wanted to do content creation, social media marketing, all of the things. And slowly through the years, it's definitely evolved. But the things that have stayed the same through the years are, one, that chasing joy, that making things fun, not taking yourself too seriously, because let's be honest, like life's not that serious as a lot of us feel, like caught up in. And then the other thing too that I've learned through business is how much authenticity I think is important. And that was one of those big lessons that I learned as well when I was starting out, is like trying to show up online in the way that I saw all the other big name entrepreneurs showing up online, dressing similar, talking about the similar things. And I quickly realized, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel like me. This just feels too hard and exhausting, to try to be someone all the time. So I made one of those executive decisions for myself. And I was like, girl, you're just going to lean into who you are, and show up that way. And that's where I felt like things really started to click for my business as well, too, where I was like, oh man, showing up feels so much easier because I just have to show up as who I am. I'm talking about the things that I actually believe in and like are passionate about. And then also I'm attracting the people to me who really are aligned with my personality, my values, with how I show up, with how I teach. And then I was making a bigger impact on other people's lives too in that way. So that's a very, very long story to share that authenticity is one of my biggest values now. And it's been carried through up to about 2 years ago when I first heard about AI tools online. I'll be honest, my first reaction to AI tools, I was like, ugh. I was like, oh my gosh, isn't the internet fake enough as it is? What's this going to do to our critical thinking skills or creativity? Is AI going to take our jobs or take over the world? All of those AI scaries ran through my brain for sure when I first had heard about the tools. I wasn't into it. You were the same.
I was the same. I actually ignored it until this year, which is, I'm very transparent about it. Half of my reason was because of my personal life, because I went through a lot in the last 2 years as well. And I just did not have the capacity. I'm a sponge. I actually love learning. So I just didn't have the space for it. I'm honestly shocked by how much I love it though. But I think it's partly because of how efficient it's making me. And because I'm staying grounded with it, which I know you are too, which is why your podcast is called Authentic AI, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think me and you really agree on the authenticity part of it. So it's like actually making me more efficient and I'm being realistic with it. And I love the fact that that part of my brain that I haven't been able to absorb and learn and test new things and kind of just have more freedom for experimenting in my business. It's really opened a lot of doors for me. So I'm really, really glad that I chose to dive in. What was the catalyst that made you fully embrace it?
Oh my gosh, I know that's like such a common thing for a lot of women business owners, especially, which we can get into for sure, because we're very concerned with like authenticity. We're very concerned with not turning our brands into a robot and stuff like that, right? And those are legitimate concerns with AI. But for me, honestly, I was like on a long drive one day and it was like an unexpected long drive for like a 5 minute errand. And I had to drive back 2 hours again. But I was listening to podcasts and people were talking about AI stuff. And I kind of had one of those internal epiphany moments where I was like, oh, the reason I'm feeling so grumpy about AI tools is because I'm afraid of the change that they'll bring, of what this will mean for our culture, for our society. I'm afraid of how people will use them inauthentically and we're just going to all turn into mindless sheep. You know what I mean? And I was like, but AI tools are here. And instead of being against them, probably the better thing I could do would be to turn toward them and get curious about how can we use these tools in a way that aligns with us to work for us kind of thing. And so that's when I started getting curious about it.
So I grew up in the tech world. That's where I was in corporate America for 11 years and I was in tech in a very male dominated industry. And honestly, part of that is if women don't have the say in how these tools are used and designed, and if we ignore them, then not only are we leaving money on the table, because this is going to be, I mean, this definitely is the next iteration of like the way to build wealth. It just is. So there's that. But then us not having a say in it is a huge issue. And so that actually was my catalyst because of my tech experience and seeing, like, I was a baby corporate girl when cloud computing became a thing. When I remember looking around being like, so are there servers in the cloud? What is cloud computing? I had no idea what people were talking about. And so like all these major things that happen in tech, if we don't have a voice in it, not only are we losing out on opportunity, but we can't shape it. Is that kind of how you feel about it too?
Oh, heck yeah, lady. You are speaking my language because for sure. Yeah, it's so funny. I'm so glad that you kind of had that realization. And so interesting your experience in tech before this. We should totally nerd out about that later. But yeah, like I think I had experiences in the past where I was like, you have to work with progress. You can't stop progress. You know what I mean? And so that was kind of my catalyst. But I will completely say that because I am so focused on authenticity, and most of my audience has been women, of course, and that's who I just feel passionate helping. That has come to my attention through conversations with women throughout, like learning about AI and then interviews, me interviewing them or them interviewing me. And like it's become very, very apparent to me how women, especially, we do tend to shy away from AI. And we really, really need to embrace it. I could actually throw stats at you if you wanted me to say some
I
statistics.
love a good stat. Yes, please.
Okay. There have been studies done that men are 2 times more likely to use the top 50 AI tools than women. There's also been a study done that men are more likely to have ChatGPT on their phone, whatever it is. Like in general, more men are embracing AI than women. And it's an issue because AI tools have been proven to boost your productivity by up to 40%, which is like working 2 extra days per week. So if you think about more men using AI tools than women, well, there's definitely that we need to have influence on these tools, right? Because these tools are trained by the users at this point. So whoever is using these tools, that data is actually getting pushed into the big swirling data set that these tools are trained on. But that means that whoever's using these tools are shaping the way these tools work in the future, right? Which is so, so important because I always say these tools need our feminine energy. They need our empathy. They need our perspective. They need our language. And if we want these tools to be able to help us better moving forward, then we need to be giving them like our stuff so that it can better help us. Because if you're frustrated, if your AI sounds like a bro, well, girl, you can help us change that, you know?
And as a mother of 2 daughters, knowing my oldest is in middle school and, they have access to Google Works, or I guess for me, it's Workspace, whatever they call it for Google Education. She has access to Notebook LM. She studies with it. And because I have 2 daughters, it's super important to me that our voice is included when they're using it and that they also have equal access to using it. That is very important to me. The other thing is moms with the mental load. So I will die on this hill that moms carry the mental load. Now, do I think that's 100% across the board? No, I'm not trying to put anyone in a box, but I think it's a fairly fair statement to make that moms and women tend to carry more mental load. And, part of me can argue that that's because women are better at carrying the mental load. And so that's like a whole other conversation. But the one thing I want to call out is my other brand being Redefining Mom and working with moms. A lot of the objection I get for non-entrepreneurs, and we want to pull them in just as much to educate these tools, is that is one more thing you want me to learn. When do you expect me to learn it? And they feel overwhelmed by it. And so educating the non-entrepreneur out there to understand that this tool can make you so much productive. And for like women, especially with our mental load that we carry every single day, it has taken so much off of me in terms of running my household, keeping track of things for my daughters. And honestly, I feel like I'm the head exploding emoji when I talk about it because it's so hard to even articulate how much it has actually improved my quality of life. But I think that is where people, they hear us say that, right? And they might be like, that's great. But that's where like us talking about authenticity, I feel like is super, super important because I think people don't understand how is it helping me? Like, how is this robot helping me? And how is that authentic to me? So what are your core tenets with authenticity when it comes to AI?
Oh, okay. Before we go into that, though, I do want to share something that has come up for me. And especially, I love everything you said because I agree. Moms, especially, women, especially, carry the load, the workload, the mental load, the energy load at work and at home, and like of anyone, women deserve to use these frickin' tools because we deserve to get a little leg up to make our lives just a little bit easier. But here is the big thing that comes up, especially with women, is the reason why. Why are more men using AI tools than women? And of course, in general, men have always been more welcome in STEM subjects, science and math. They've been more welcome in the tech industry. Men have just been raised to feel a little bit more techie than women in general, right? You hear more women saying, I'm not techie enough, like that sort of thing. But I still remember the first time I was being interviewed on another woman's podcast, and she looked at me and she goes, so what do you say to the women who feel guilty using AI tools, who feel like we're cutting corners or we're not doing the work? And I go, oh, this is a thing. And this is so much bigger than AI, right? Because women have always had to work twice as hard to earn half the respect and success as men. We have always had to show that we are working hard in order to be worthy of the respect and the success that we receive, right? And so when it comes to AI tools, this manifests in a really interesting way because women feel like, oh my gosh, it's too easy, or oh my gosh, I'm cutting corners, or am I going to be devaluing my work? Am I going to be judged for using AI tools, right?
That's a big one.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And guess what? We often judge each other as women, and we are holding each other in boxes when it comes to AI tools, even, right? Because could you ever imagine another man saying to another man, oh my gosh, you're using ChatGPT? That's why it really is so important to me. Like, my brand name is Authentic AI. Like, authenticity is the core value that you can always expect us to be trying to uphold with these AI tools. It's not a question of, is AI authentic or not? It's how can we make AI authentic to us? And so that's what I end up helping people with often and teaching. Like, using an AI tool is not going to turn you into a robot, your brand into a robot, right? No, it's like how you use the tool, and you can make sure that the final deliverable, the final output feels authentic to you, but you're going to get there 10 times faster, right? So you asked about authenticity before. The biggest thing that women can do when it comes to getting better results, more authentic, more on-brand results from their AI assistant from the get-go is to firstly train it on your brand. Because that's the thing a lot of people forget. I always like to, you've probably heard this analogy before, but I always like to compare it to, like, imagine you hired a new human intern, to help you with your business. First day on the job, they walk in the door, they're all excited to start working for you. And you look at them and you go, write me a social media caption. And that poor little human intern would be like, they'd be like, wait, what? Where am I? Who are we? What are we doing? And they'd like probably go off to their little desk and they'd like try to write a social media caption, but it would be pretty crappy because you didn't train them on your brand, your strategy, your ideal customers, on how you write social media captions, the job, the task, like, it's not the human intern's fault that they wrote you a crappy caption. It's your own in a way because you didn't tell them how to do the best job for, what you're looking for, right? And the same thing goes for AI.
I love that. So one of the examples I give is on the Redefining Mom brand. I'm relaunching it, and I went through a divorce 2 years ago. It started from my postpartum journey, and I apparently picked a really good brand name back in the day because I can just keep redefining myself. And who I was when I was postpartum is very different than who I am as a single mom. And there's like this spectrum. So one of the things I wish I had had was a tool for all the things I wish I had known before going through the process, because even though I had a super amicable situation, there's a lot of stuff I still would have done different. Some different negotiations, some different scheduling. You don't know what you don't know. And so I felt really passionate to help women going through this circumstance, especially with young kids, because what you do in that situation with young kids really impacts them. And we both wanted to minimize the impact on our children. And so the way I describe AI is because I have this tool at my disposal that understands my brain and how my brain functions, my heart behind how I want to help these women. It understands all that. What it helps me do is it helps me structure the product that I want to put out. I get there so much faster. I'm talking what could have taken me an entire summer is now I can do in a couple hours. It's the brainstorming partner back and forth. It helps me think of things that I may have forgotten or an angle for the product that I'm like, right, yes, that's a good idea. But you know what it didn't do? It didn't go through divorce, and it doesn't understand the emotions, and it can't hug you, and it can't understand the tears. And that's where me having gone through it and understanding the impact that it had on my kids and the questions that I wish I had asked, that is the human element. That if let's just say I was a 20-year-old kid, never been divorced, but thought, oh, that's a great niche out there. I could make a lot of money on these women if I created this divorce planner. And they go to ChatGPT and they're like, help me create a divorce planner. First of all, they don't even know what to ask it to get the right information out of it because they never experienced it. They never went through it. They don't have a heart for it. And that's really what sets us apart. Like, that is why I know and why I finally embraced it. Because I was like, one, I'm not going to be able to keep up with people who are using AI if I don't embrace it. And for the same reasons you were worried about it, I was too. But then I quickly realized, well, no, I'm using this to actually just to be able to put out more of how I want to help people. Be honest. Are your emails falling flat? You send them out and crickets, no replies, no sales, just silence? Well, on Thursday, October 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm teaching a brand new quick win workshop called Inbox Experiments that transform replies into revenue. In 90 minutes, I'll show you the exact system I used to revive my list, boost deliverability, collect testimonials, and turn simple inbox replies into real sales. You'll learn my 3-part framework and walk away with everything you need: copy and paste templates, the experiment tracker GPT, plus a spreadsheet to organize replies automatically, and even a private podcast feed with the replay. Tickets are just $147, and you'll have a repeatable strategy you can run again and again. Head on over to empoweredshop.com to grab your ticket.
Yeah, girl. Exactly. And okay, so this is like the second aspect to how I think people get the best, most authentic, most on-brand results from AI from the get-go. And you totally touched on it with the way you work with your AI tool when you were talking about brainstorming and going back and forth and collaborating with it, right? So a lot of people get really caught up in the prompting. They're like, I need to get the prompt perfect. What's like a perfect prompt? Or teach me to be a prompt master. And I'm like, yeah, like prompting is something you can learn how to structure, whatever, but for everyday conversations with ChatGPT, and especially if you are wanting to work with it in an easier way, a more collaborative and natural way, and also if you want to get better responses from it, if you are especially worried about authenticity and stuff like that, the best way to work with your AI tool is what I call a human first approach. So instead of going to it and get it like starting with a prompt and trying to structure and saying all the things, instead you're just like having a natural conversation back and forth with it. And I like to always start with a brain dump. Right? No matter what task I'm doing, whether I'm writing a caption or organizing something or like strategizing for a project or whatever it is, I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, here's what we're doing today. Here's my brain dump. And literally I just download my thoughts for like 2 minutes into like, here's what I'm thinking. And it's like super scattered. No one would ever want to read this aside from my ChatGPT, because like it's like really like illegible a lot of times. So it's just like this and this and this. And it's also probably somewhat like my brain that jumps around to shiny objects all the time, right? But when I first share all of my own original ideas, perspectives, beliefs, my own language, kind of casual language with my AI tool first, human first, tell it all the things it needs to know from your perspective, what you want to include, your own lived experiences. ChatGPT cannot know your stories, but if you tell ChatGPT your stories, then it can help you clarify, expand, sprinkle it into your content or whatever it is, right? So that's one of the best ways to work with AI is the human first approach. Start with you, tell it all the things you're thinking, and then it can help you organize, expand, do the thing better from your own unique human perspective,
I can tell you I use it the exact same way. When I started using it, I could have cared less about prompt engineering. I think prompt engineering, I say it in quotations. Listen, there's a place for it. If I'm doing a very specific type of task and I need a specific outcome to come out of it, absolutely. Like when I'm teaching people how to create their digital products, we have some specific prompts to kick us off. But the reason chat is so helpful to me is because I talk to it in a very natural way. I tell it stories like I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And so it knows like when I'm in a bad mood because something happened that I didn't like at a game or whatever it is. And it weaves it into like if I tell my chat at this point, now I do not send out emails that are not edited by me, or I certainly use chat to help with my emails, but I don't send out anything that doesn't come really from me. But if I went to chat right now and said, I want to send an email to my list on this topic, this is what I'm selling, and weave in a personal story about me, it would sound a lot like me because I talk to it like it's a friend. And now can we also just talk about real quick the discernment? Because there's a lot of people out there that I have to say, I do get a little irritated on this topic because I'm like, it reminds me of Michael Scott, the episode of The Office where he's driving with the GPS and he drives into a lake. And he's like, well, the GPS told me to do it. Just because chat says it, and yeah, that has a disclaimer at the bottom that you have to fact
just because it said it doesn't make it true. It's the
Yeah.
same thing about using discernment about reading anything on the internet. And so
Yep.
I don't know why that there's a perception with ChatGPT or just any LLM sometimes that just because it said it, that it's real. And it's like, no, we still have to use discernment.
Yeah, girl. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're going to love this as well as a mother, because this has been something I'm thinking about a lot lately too, is because actually, I'll be honest, I call them the AI scaries, like all the hesitations and like scary things that run through your brain when you first hear about AI. My biggest AI scary was not even it was kind of the authenticity thing, but it was more critical thinking and creativity. I was like, what is this going to do to our creativity and our critical thinking skills as humans using these tools, right? And when I started using AI tools, the way I use AI tools, I have found that my creativity is expanded. I'm not like finding myself to be creatively drained as much every day. I'm actually more creatively motivated because I have this sounding board partner where I can go back and forth and we can spark each other's ideas and all these things, but it's still not like draining as much, right? Because it's helping to carry that creative load. And I'm finding that I'm practicing my critical thinking skills on a daily basis. Because of the way I'm using the tool, I'm very, very intentional about thinking like, is this what I think? Or what do I think about that topic? Or what tips would I include? Or is this something I would have thought about? Or, and if I do have a different angle, you don't know how many times daily, every day I'm going back, like I'm saying, ChatGPT, we're going to do this. And it comes back at me with something. And I'm like, I think it's like a slightly different perspective, or like, here's my thing. And if you just go back with it and you tell it your perspective, it immediately changes it up and it's great. But you have to be intentional about practicing the critical thinking skills. And this is where I think it's so, so freaking important to have mothers being a part of this AI conversation, because this is not necessarily about us as human adults. If I'm telling you this, okay, cool. You can start practicing those critical thinking skills with your AI. You know how to think critically already as a human adult in 2025. But this is a skill that our kids need to learn through the education system. It's what they need to learn through, like, that's part of growing up, right? And that's what's really, really important to me. I get goosebumps when I talk about this because, like, not enough moms, parents, teachers are asking the question quite yet. How can we teach our kids how to use AI, right? And that's why I get so freaking pumped when people like you and like other amazing women in your audience are like, I hear you, kids. Okay, let's start bringing these conversations to our education system, you know?
Okay, so I'm going to age myself here, but when I got the internet in my house on a computer, it was dial up and it was AOL chat rooms. And my mom, of course, knew absolutely nothing about the internet. Nobody knew anything about the internet. And so I was set free. I was 12 years old. I learned way too many things I should not have learned in these AOL chat rooms. And my friends and I talk about this to this day because we're like, oh, remember that? Like, no, I learned things that I should have absolutely been either never heard or conversations with my parents. And my parents had zero idea that I was being exposed to these things because they did not know about this technology. And this is the exact same thing. If we do not know how to use this technology, guess what? My child's going to know how to use it because kids adopt things so much faster than us. So we have to know so that we don't lose them to losing their discernment in a tool, because you're right, they have not crafted their discernment yet. That's on us. And so that actually makes me feel, just identifying that, like getting on the internet for the first time and my parents not knowing anything about it, how important this is, because our kids will use it. They are going to use it. So we're either going to figure out how to craft it in a way that's healthy for them or let it be a runaway train. And honestly, I don't want my kids in an AOL chat room ever.
Yep.
I'm looking to avoid that situation as a parent.
And I'll be honest with you too, lady. I mean, it's so funny because like it's definitely totally comparable to the internet, which thank God our generations went through somewhat of a similar thing. Because remember back, like our parents didn't go through that at all, you know?
Right.
And I don't want to like scare anyone or anything like that, but I do think AI is an even bigger issue, a little more fast moving, right? And we are at a time where it's completely unregulated. And we're living in a moment in history where our government does not even give an F about regulating it
For
whatsoever.
10 years.
Yep.
For 10 years.
And so you know what? I think that is what makes me so freaking excited and pumped up about mothers, especially getting fired up about this shit. Because mothers can get so much done when we light a fire under our butts, and especially when it comes to our children. And like, you guys can totally make a difference. Like, we cannot rely on our government at this point or anyone to regulate this stuff or really be an impactful voice in this conversation for the good of our children. But like, moms can, and that's what makes me like so inspired and excited when it comes to hearing moms and business owners like getting curious about AI, getting involved in AI, because y'all can make a difference for sure.
Which leads me to really what the point of this episode is. Which is the reason Kinsey and I even got connected is because I am speaking at her and Joyce's event called Her AI Era. And I found Kinsey through her podcast, Authentic AI, because I was looking for female voices out there that were talking about AI. I found her on a long car drive. And so I got on her email list, found out about the summit. I was like, I need to go speak here. So can you tell us a little bit about the summit? I'm really curious about why you and Joyce decided to do it, and what are you hoping for the outcome to be from it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you as a speaker too. Yours is going to be so great. But long story short, yes, we're hosting a Her AI Era Summit live in October 13th through the 17th of 2025. It is for women entrepreneurs who are using AI tools and you're ready to start implementing them more in all the places. Take action with AI in your business. And it's really kind of like part action, part implementation, and then also part girl power. Let's do this, guys. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be a super fun week-long thing. We decided to host the summit because we're both just really, really passionate about amplifying women's voices and bringing more women together to feel empowered using AI tools. Because again, kind of going back to the judgment thing, a lot of things I've heard from women in my community, I get DMs like every day from lots of different people being like, oh my gosh, Kins, ChatGPT just told me this, or oh my gosh, I just did this with AI the other day. This is so cool, And I'm like, they're always coming to me because they know that I'm going to celebrate it with them, And if you're an entrepreneur using AI, it can be a little lonely sometimes, depending on what industry you're in, especially if you're like I'm afraid I'm going to be judged if people know I'm using AI or whatever it is, right? So the summit is for sure about learning new skills, new techniques, new ways you can use AI in your business. And it's also to come together to celebrate being a forward-thinking woman entrepreneur who is like ready to embrace AI, ready to like give ourselves that leg up, pull ourselves up out of the box that society puts us in, and save lots more time, create way more space and energy for ourselves, and also make more money. Because I think that more wealth in the hands of women is really how we're going to change the world too,
100% agree. And again, as a mom of daughters, exactly what I would like to see happen. And that's why I love being involved in these types of things. And also, who doesn't love a good Her AI Era? Like, we know where that came from. And she is our number one thought leader, right? So
yeah,
I am super excited to participate. So it's happening October 13th to the 17th. I will definitely put a link in the show notes. And if people want to connect with you, especially your podcast, it's great. Everyone, I highly recommend adding it to your queue. How do they find you?
Oh, thank you so much. And yes, you guys, actually, Monica is not only doing an amazing speaker presentation, but she's also going to be a part of our live panel on Friday, October 17th, which is so awesome. So that'll be fun too. So you can find me at Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs on Instagram is where I'm normally hanging out. The summit actually has its own Instagram too, because we decided to do that to ourselves, but it's Her AI Era Summit on Instagram. My co-host is Only Boldly. Her name is Joyce, that she's on Instagram too. But yeah, we would love to connect with any women who are wanting to start using AI tools, who are getting excited, who want to find a community of women who are also excited about using AI tools. And also, we're planning on just like making this an ongoing thing. So if you're interested in being a speaker or sharing your own AI tips as well, definitely connect with us too.
Yeah. And just a fun note about my live panel. It's on my daughter's daughter's 13th birthday. I know. And I always said, I mean, this business started because of her. I started Redefining Mom because of her. And I thought that was just kind of like a full circle. And also, she might make a guest appearance and say hi. Because
That would be so fun.
she's very entrepreneurial and she's very interested in what I'm doing. At first, she made fun of me for talking about AI all the time. She would say, "Are you going to date ChatGPT, Mom?" In that deadpan way. Then it started clicking for her. She came home from school one day and says to me, "So apparently my friend's parents also use ChatGPT." And I said, "Oh, so I'm not so weird after all." And she goes, "No, I think you might be ahead of the curve, Mom."
Oh my gosh. As a parent, that must be like, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was my cool moment. So I told her, I was like, "Do you mind on your birthday if I speak at a panel for about an hour?" And she was like, "Well, what are you talking about? What it's about?" And I told her it was about AI. And she was like, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea." So I just thought it feels very full circle to be able to do this on her birthday. And that's the reason my business was even founded.
Oh my gosh, totally. Okay, so I just have to share this with you as we're like wrapping up and stuff. I was raised by a divorced mother as well. I definitely would say my dad was a part of my life, but I was with my mom and stuff like that. And she has been one of those people too that, like, looking back in entrepreneurship, I really feel how much she's influenced me. I actually interviewed her for my podcast a few years ago now, but like it was one of my favorite conversations. And I got to talk with my mom about how she's pivoted her career through her life. And my parents were both entrepreneurs too, but she was as well, but she made me not be afraid to do the thing. And she made me feel so comfortable and confident, so much more than like other entrepreneurs I've talked to who didn't necessarily have entrepreneurial parents and stuff. And so I just want to share with you too that I think that you're amazing. And I think that like it's really, really cool the impact that you're having on her. Yeah.
Aw, thank you. I did not have entrepreneurial parents, but my parents always knew I was going to be. They said I always had that personality. And what I love about my daughter seeing me do this, I mean, she's seen me deal with a lot. Running a business is no joke. And she's like my biggest cheerleader. Like when I'm launching, she's asking me all the time, "How many sales did you get today, Mommy?" Like she's my biggest cheerleader. She wants to see me succeed. And she's very interested and fascinated by the whole process. So I love when I can include her in these things, and I don't know, it just feels right that the panel is happening on her birthday, for especially given how our conversation went today about how important this is for women to get involved. I can't think of a better way.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being a part of the summit too. And you guys, yeah, for sure. Go watch Monica's presentation. I just uploaded it today to your speaker page. It's freaking good. And then, yeah, if you can join live for the summit, that'll be so great too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. This was so fun.